Yo, so you won't believe the week I just had. Listen, I copped the all-white Margielas. I got a foreign, and she ain't born. You feel me? It's a BMW, by the way. Listen, she got big titties. She got a big ass. You feel me? Yo, I can't wait for you to meet this girl. This is the best week I've ever had. The best week of summer.
I wonder if you know that I know he's lying right now. Oh, you got the new Margellas? That's what's up. That's what's up. I see you. That's your BMW? That's nice. That's your girl? Golly. Okay, I see you. But I just want to know one thing. You ready? Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop fucking lying. Always lying to me. You lying so much. You making it hard for me. Yeah. Every time you tell me something, I figure that you're lying. Ooh, it's almost like you faking. Oh yeah. Yeah, I know you're lying, but you sound excited, and you know that I know that you're lying. Oh girl.
Cue the rain. I got you.
The rain, yeah. Turn on. A little bit more. Yeah. I'ma keep on lying to you. Yeah. Until you think it's the truth. Yeah. Now, girl, I know you fibbing. Ooh, you know you can't help it. You know what I wanna know. Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop fucking lying. Always lying to me. Too much. Lying so much, you know. You're making it hard for me. Baby, you don't stop. Why the fuck you lying? Okay. Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop fucking lying. Always lying to me. And it's false. Lying so much. You're making it hard for me. Yeah.
When I leave, you want to keep doing this. But then when I come around, you don't want to post up. So, how about you just say to my face the things you've been saying about me? Huh?
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Hopefully y'all can hear me. Can y'all please let me know in the chat if you can hear me? I am in a new location, okay? I'm utilizing a laptop that is not mine. It's giving me a little bit more freedoms. Please let me know if you can hear me in the comments. What's going on, Style by Steve? I hope that you're doing well. I am excited about this read through. This book shouldn't be a very long book. There's only 6 chapters in this book. We are going to be reading through The Truth About Lying, How to Spot a Lie and Protect Yourself, okay, from deception. And this is from Stan B. Walters. If you want to read along with me, or if you just want to read it for yourself, click the description box below and there is a link for you to buy the book. I'm pretty sure there's an ebook out there, but I think the link that I provided is like a thrift bookstore, so it's like $5 for the book. I'm excited to see what this book has to offer. Hopefully it will be able to help me in detecting lies, not just outside of myself, but even some of the lies that I may be telling myself. You get what I'm saying? Like, again, we're learning. That's the point of this whole thing, to learn, okay? And since nobody, well, matter of fact, let me check. Hold on. I can check myself. Hold on. To make sure the sound good. 1 second. Hold on. Oh, yeah, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Let me cut the music down just a little bit. Just a little bit. Let's bring this down to like 11. No, let's do 13. That's fine. All right, y'all. Let's get into chapter 1, okay, of the truth about lying. All right, and chapter 1 is entitled "What's Behind a Lie." Okay, so let's get into it. Have you ever been talking to someone and had a gut feeling that the person was lying to you? You just had the sense that something was not right, but maybe you couldn't quite put your finger on any particular thing the person said or did that made you uneasy. Have you ever placed your trust in someone and later found out that they were lying to you? Have you ever watched and listened to a conversation between two other people and you knew that one of them was lying to the other, and the poor victim bought everything the other person said, hook, line, and sinker? When was the last time you lied to someone? Maybe you just didn't tell that person everything or didn't give a complete answer. Maybe you just, fibbed to them. You might even have called it a little white lie, but it was a lie just the same. Did you allow someone to make the wrong assumption because of what you did or did not tell them? Perhaps you didn't intend to mislead them, but they just came to the wrong conclusion. Congratulations. You just lied to somebody and I didn't even have this. Oh, I do have it on a loop. I'm smart. All right. We are faced with a deception all around us. Either we are being lied to or we lie to someone else. It is not always done with malicious or evil intent. It is not necessarily covering up a crime or committing perjury. It might be fudging a little on the job or, loan applications. It may be protecting someone's feelings by not saying exactly what you think about the clothes they chose, the new haircut, the decorating style, or their new partner. Maybe you have decided that your friend needs to learn the hard way, or you'd prefer them to find out the truth from someone else. You don't want to be the one to deliver the bad news. At other times, maybe you just need to explain away why you're really late for work or why the work you did is late. And of course, everyone embellishes a little when out on a date, especially a first date. The dating ritual itself must be the most frequent form of deception people ever commit. Remember here that we're not talking about criminals, but about upstanding, everyday people, including yourself. The very fabric of culture is woven from what many consider harmless lies, such as excuses made for declining an invitation, or compliments that aren't what you really believe. The problem is that every day of your life, you make decisions after considering numerous pieces of information, facts, and opinions that you gather from the people around you. Decisions that affect the lives and future of your family, friends, business associates, and yourself. You make those decisions based on the belief that those who provide the information are reliable and trustworthy and have your best interest at heart. But what if those people upon whom you rely, from whom you seek information and guidance, are not truthful with you? What if, instead of having your best interest at heart, they were more interested in serving their own personal interests and goals? If you knew from the outset that someone upon whom you relied was not being honest with you and was misleading you, withholding information from you, or being evasive about the truth, would it make any difference in the decisions you've made? Can you afford to make a critical decision or even a simple day-to-day decision only to find out later that it was based on false or misleading information? What's going on? Let's talk. I'm glad you can hear me. Shout out to you. And I told you my commentary is made for background stuff. My stuff is made for your subconscious mind, okay? It may not be the conscious, but the subconscious. That's what I really want to tap into, okay? As a general rule, human beings do a very poor job of detecting deception. You might be surprised to learn that law enforcement investigators don't do any better than the general public in their ability to accurately spot a liar. How can we miss such behavior when we do the same thing ourselves? Are there any telltale signs? Are there any symptoms that can help us spot deception among our spouses, friends, family members, business associates, or politicians? Aren't there some special clues we can look for? Isn't there anything we can do to stop others from lying to us? In reality, there is little, if anything, you can do to stop someone from lying to you. You must accept the fact that people at some time are going to lie to you. Now, this is not a condemnation of the human race, nor should you become suspicious and paranoid. But the fact that someone may attempt to deceive you does not mean that you have to be a victim of their deception. The best thing that you can do to protect yourself is to learn how to do a better job of recognizing and correctly identifying the complex behaviors that are associated with human communication. You can learn to hear the changes in the voice and understand the meaning of the subtle nuances associated with the rate of speech, pitch of the voice, and volume that can tip you off to deception. Listening to the content of speech can help you to understand the specific mechanisms at work within the mind of the person to whom you are listening to. If you can learn how to look past the distractions of stress and disguise that are found in body language, you can more accurately decipher the meaning of gestures, posture, positions, expressions, and movements. You certainly cannot expect to isolate and identify every single lie that you might witness, but if you could identify the majority of the numerous attempts at deception that are made around you every day, how much better would your life and personal relationships be? How much personal pain and loss could you avoid if you knew how to correctly decode the verbal and nonverbal communications of those with whom you associate? Then you would be able to communicate in such a way as to encourage open, honest dialogue, and you could create an environment of trust and trustworthiness around yourself so as to improve your relationships. You cannot and never will be able to stop someone from lying to you, but you can avoid being a victim to lies of others by acquiring the skills to correctly assess the credibility of another person's statements. Human behavior and communication studies that have focused on deception indicate the behaviors that are reliable when it comes to diagnosing someone's credibility, and those behaviors that are not dependable because they are based on nothing more than folk wisdom. By establishing guidelines and a basic set of principles on how to recognize those significant behaviors, you can reduce the chances that you will mislabel innocent behaviors or fail to recognize the verbal and nonverbal phenomenon that would alert you that someone is trying to deceive you. What's going on, Ron? What's going on? Furthermore, if you can look critically at yourself and understand your own actions and reactions, emotions and motivations, thoughts and fears, and the image you have of yourself and what you want others to see in you, then you will begin to understand why others have chosen to try to deceive you and why you have deceived them. These skills will be useful to you in all kinds of situations with people offering you their services, such as a nanny or a car mechanic, with people selling you their products, and with friends and members of your family. You'll be in a better position to make those important decisions in your life when you know what makes people lie to you, how to tell when they may be lying, and different techniques for dealing with a lie when you believe you have been confronted by one. You also may want to apply these skills to drawing your own conclusion about what you see on the news or read about in the newspaper. Let me emphasize here that it is at all times my intention to help you develop these skills so that you can have a positive impact on your life and your relationships. It would be a shame if, after reading this book, you suddenly become suspicious and distrustful of your mate, children, friends, and the person on the street. It is my belief that knowing how to recognize deception can give you a chance to uncover areas in your life and relationships you can positively impact. Okay, let me look at the comments real quick before we continue further. And I should have put my disclaimer thing, but it's already at the bottom of the screen. Fair use doctrine, and I have it in the bio, so it is what it is. Excuse me. Baby, Let's Talk said, I have the headphones on. Babe, you know you put the headphones on, you get the full Bubs flow, BubzDaGawd experience. I'm like Dolby, I'm like Bose, okay? I want the surround sound effect. You gotta put the headphones in, it hits so good. And most people lie as defense mechanism, exactly. Most people that experience abuse as children often develop compulsive lying in order to hide their issues or suppress it, exactly. And that's why I'm going to enjoy this book, because again, when you look at the title of this book, people thinking like, oh girl, I'm about to find out how I can catch this nigga in a lie and whoop-de-whoop-de-woo. But for those who really trying to better themselves, if anything, you will catch the lies you tell yourself. Because once you start being honest with yourself, baby, and you know what that energy feel like, you can spot a damn lie. Okay? And like this book says, to not become a victim of it. Is it a 100% success rate? No, because again, there's little we can do to stop people from lying to us, but we have the power and control about how we respond to it. You get what I'm saying? I don't know who in there cooking, whatever they cooking, but that shit smell good. Oh, it smell good. Now, before we get into it, we have to define what deception is, okay? And they put all these damn words up in here, so you know I might have an Andrew Caldwell moment. Defining deception. Obfuscate, I hope I said that right. Misinform, mislead, dissemble, prevaricate, Lord, muddle, deceive, fabricate, cloak, distort, equivocate, fib, invent, falsify, misinterpret, adulterate, evade, hedge, spin, lie. Deception, by whatever name, is still an attempt by a person to deceive not only someone else, but also himself into the bargain. We all have, or will, engage in at least some subtle form of deception on a daily basis. Some of these attempts to deceive are malicious in nature, while other occurrences are more in the form of editing, which is designed to preserve feelings, a relationship, or the current communication exchange that has been established between two or more people. Y'all, let's face it. Sometimes people including you and me, would much rather hear subtle distortions of the truth than to hear the blunt, cold, hard reality. The presence of deception in any instance suggests that the speaker has found some need to alter the perception of the truth. For the target of the deception, you the listener, the reasons behind that deception may be of vital importance in your decision-making process regarding the issue at hand and your perception of the other person's credibility and integrity. Why has the person felt it necessary to be deceitful to you? To get a better grasp on deception, you need to understand the internal systems at work when someone's being deceptive. 3 factors or conditions exist in any situation where deception is occurring: choice, opportunity, and ability. If you understand these 3 factors, you can get a better handle on why and how deception occurs, how to recognize it, and how to reduce the chances that it will occur in your presence. Choice. Choice is one of the key factors that exist whenever lying takes place. The person reasons or feels that there is pressure on them not to tell the whole and complete truth, and so they choose to lie in some form. They may feel a need to lie in order to gain some form of reward or positive reinforcement that they desire. They may feel that a lie or half-truth will help them to avoid some form of punishment or negative reinforcement. Finally, they may feel pressure to deceive out of fear or the inability to determine what the consequences of the conversation may be. Now you, as the target of the deceit, may have little or no impact at all on the subject's choice to lie. Lying is a cognitive or mental process. It is not something that merely happens in a vacuum. To misinform or mislead others is a deliberate action, and it is a behavior in which one chooses to engage. By being deceptive, a person accomplishes some goal, whether it be to gain a personal benefit, to avoid some form of unattractive consequence, or to protect themselves or someone else in a situation that appears to be unpredictable. My point here is that a decision is made every time a lie occurs, and there are countless situations in which a person may choose to lie. Shit. In fact, almost everyone has a boundary or a code of honor beyond which they will not go. In other words, a person might be unwilling to lie to their spouse, but lying to the IRS might be acceptable. Parents often are willing to hide information from their children, but would never do so in an altercation with their boss. The more that a person perceives is at stake, the more pressure they may feel to choose to be deceitful. For a teenager, this may be nothing more than the chance to go out on Friday or Saturday night when asked about where they're going and with whom. It can, of course, be a much more serious situation involving, with our hypothetical teenager, drugs, alcohol, or shoplifting, or with an adult, tax evasion, or a political cover-up. My point is that regardless of the circumstances, there is always a choice made somewhere along the way. Now, we can get into a long psychological, philosophical, and moral discussion about character, socialization, and self-esteem issues, exploring why a person chooses to lie, but we are going to leave the majority of that discussion to other forums. The decision to be deceitful is one that is made solely by a person who has lied, and that decision was made consciously and deliberately. One is almost never forced to lie except in extreme circumstances. Now, since we are dealing in this book with everyday situations, it is rarely the case that a person will be forced to lie to you, although he may perceive a need to do so. Ability. A person's ability to lie, and to lie well, rests squarely on their communication skills and intellectual powers. This is not to suggest that people with good communication skills are going to be more deceptive than others, but if they choose to be, they have more of an advantage. Others, lacking the strong communication skills to bolster the ability to be deceptive, may have to work harder at it. Unfortunately, to some, lying almost seems to come naturally. Opportunity. If someone can communicate well and is inclined to be deceitful, there is little you can do. The only one of the key factors of lying over which you may have some control is the opportunity for the person to lie. To avoid being the intended target of a lie, you may want to create the impression that you are an undesirable target for someone else's deception. You can do this by making it unrewarding for someone to lie to you, developing the skills necessary to spot a lie, and learning how to challenge lies when they occur. You will reduce the opportunities that others have to lie to you, reduce the likelihood that they will take the opportunity to lie if one does arise, and minimize the extent of damage to yourself that a lie could cause if they do take the opportunity. Responsibility. Many times, we have a sense or feeling that someone may be lying to us, but we lack the skills necessary to pinpoint exactly which behaviors make us feel that way. In the absence of confirming information, or the knowledge we need to decide if the person is being deceptive, we defer to how we feel about the person. When it is a person you know well, you may rely on the strength of your past encounters and the length of the relationship. You may make a snap judgment if you're feeling angry with the person at that moment, or if you are feeling compassionate. If it is a person who is a relative stranger, you may rely on gut instinct or on the person's vibe or your perception of the energy they're giving out. You always will rely on these feelings to some extent, but if you take the time to understand and master the methods in this book, you will have a great deal more information, on which to base your conclusions. You'll also have a number of options to choose from in deciding how you want to handle the situation. Remember, this book is all about improving your relationships, not disrupting them. When a person is trying to deceive someone, one of the concerns that eventually rises is the vulnerability of that person to being deceived. If the liar believes that the person is very competent at spotting lies, one or two reactions may occur within the liar. One response may be that under the stress of scrutiny, the liar ends up generating even more recognizable signs of deceit. The second response may be that the deceiver reconsiders the choices to lie. The end result, either way, is that the lies are more easily exposed or fewer lies are generated. Your best weapon in denying a person the opportunity to lie to you is learning how to accurately spot the signals of deception. Now, by detecting deception accurately on a regular basis, you will make yourself a less favorable target for deceit. The second thing you must do is be willing to look at your own role in a situation when someone is lying to you. Do you make it difficult for people to tell you the truth as they see it because you react emotionally? Do you violently express hurt feelings? Do you become angry or vengeful? Are you known as someone who is easily offended? Do you punish your children if they admit they've done something wrong? No matter how good you get at detecting a lie, you will be setting yourself up to be lied to if people are afraid to tell you the truth. In a situation not involving someone close to you, such as when you are hiring someone to provide a service to you, are you careful and diligent in hiring, or are you quick and impulsive and always looking for the quickest solution? Are you willing to spend a little more time and learn more about this person who is offering you a service or a product, be it a lawyer, an insurance salesman, or a car mechanic? Do you have the time to make careful observations, ask thoughtful questions, and think carefully about what you have observed? No matter how well you remember the information in this book, if you're not willing to look at your own role in your encounters with other people, did I look angry when my teenager came in late? Was I in such a hurry to buy that insurance that I didn't shop around? If you are examining only the other person, you are getting only half the equation. In fact, as we'll discuss later, your actions can even affect the signals a person gives off, thereby making it harder for you to evaluate those signals. That is called contamination, and we'll be looking at it more closely later on. What's going on, Miss English? What's going on? Communicating your findings. Now, as a general rule, it is better not to tell people about their signs of deception. Now, as you learn to use the various analysis techniques we are discussing, you may be tempted to tell a person that you have caught them lying and tell them specifically which behavior symptoms gave them away. If that's the case, there are a lot of people who are going to want to play poker with you because you have shown your hand. Now, it may seem like a good idea, and you may believe that it puts extra pressure on the person you are observing, but in the long run, you will be hurting yourself for several reasons. So you're screaming at this lady. Yes, this lady, her name is Lily Hayes, I think that's her name. She's on Instagram. Her son always makes fun of her and gets her angry. So I decided to use that as the backdrop part or like the video for it. Because that's how a lot of us want to react. Girl, why you lying to me? Why you lying? You know what I'm saying? But this book is trying to help us to deal with ourselves first. Okay? But I think it would be funny and I guess catch people's attention. So I'm glad you enjoy it because I love her videos. It should be hilarious. Now first, once you tell the person that you have identified as deceptive, you may not ever see that person exhibit that behavior again. See, you have just alerted them to exactly how you've spotted their deception, and now they will try to suppress that specific behavior or behaviors. Second, once the person has been told what telltale behaviors have given them away, they may try to mask those signs by acting out substitute symptoms or by staging the behavior you have identified as a feint when telling the truth. This is an attempt to destroy your confidence in the accuracy of your diagnosis. Now, granted, you may not believe that anyone will be able to have such control of their own behavior or have the presence of mind to be able to accomplish such a feat. But the reality is that all you have succeeded in doing is to make work harder and more complex for yourself. Finally, pointing out these behaviors to people is bound to have a negative effect on your family, social life, and business life. No one likes to have attention called to their weakness or personal flaws. Calling attention to someone's deceptive behaviors will most certainly contaminate the behaviors of others around you, who will then feel you are scrutinizing their statements and analyzing them for deception. Now, it is fine for you to develop your skills in identifying deceptive behavior without trumpeting to all who know that you are now a human lie detector. Think of it as learning how to use tools that will improve your own communication skills. The ability to identify when a person you're talking to is experiencing stress in the conversation and maybe considering if it is safe to tell you the truth, will give you an opportunity to create an atmosphere in which people can be honest with you about what is on their minds. This will be invaluable to you in your personal relationships, okay? In situations where the person is a stranger to you and you are considering goods or services, these skills will help you identify when you'll want to dig for more information, check another reference, shop around a little more. Throughout this book, I'll discuss what tactics you can take when you are sure you've identified a deception. By the end of this book, you'll know not only how to spot a lie, but what to do about it. Defining evasion. Direct deception, as we have described previously, involves actively changing or altering the truth. The only thing that will limit a person's ability to engage effectively in this form of deception is their own imagination. Alternatively, a person can accomplish their deception by engaging in the indirect method of deception, which is evasion. When being evasive, the deceiver merely withholds from the listener rather than changes critical information. Evasion has some advantages and disadvantages for the deceiver. One advantage of using the indirect method of deception is that it is not a demanding or daunting mental process. Yes, come through, Andrew Caldwell. For direct deception to be successful, I must remember previous lies, create new lies that are consistent with the older ones, even though he doesn't do that, and leave the new lies vague and open-ended enough in case I have to change them or add onto them later. When I use evasion, I don't have to remember what I've said because I'm not actively creating alternate or misleading information. When I'm lying through evasion, I am simply leaving out information from the communication process. What's going on? We got King Anubis in the building. What's going on? Another advantage to evasion is that what I do say is going to be the truth. Since the information I am conveying to the listener is based, let me read that again, y'all. Let me give Andrew his shit. That's probably what it is. Come on, Andrew. Where you at, girl? Give us a quick Shia real quick. Shania.
Shia. Oh, Mashania. Oh, I feel a Shakani up in here.
Okay, that's enough, girl. That's enough. Let me read it again. Okay, what's up, Queen Spicy? What's going on? Let's Talk said, I really needed to listen to this. I'm glad, yay, I'm a Scorpio. I want the truth, but I can come off harsh, and I think that scares some people to not tell me the truth. Yeah. Again, this book is not just for outside, but introspective as well. Because like the book said, the goal of this book, which I do agree with, is not meant to destroy connections. If anything, it's meant to strengthen them. That's all. And I know they're lying, and I'm like, just tell the truth. Yeah, the universe will deal with it. It's okay. They gonna learn some way. Okay. Again, shout out to Lily on the screen. Okay. Another advantage to evasion is that what I do say is going to be the truth. Since the information I am conveying to the listener is based on the truth, I will have a generally easy time maintaining a handle on the important or significant information. I won't have to sort between truth and the web of lies that I've created in order to respond to any questions. I merely edit out or remove selected information from my account of the situation or experience. Now, for deception by evasion to be successful, I must have some idea of how much you need to know in order to feel as though you may have gotten the truth. Then, I must carefully select what I tell you. My aim is to reveal only some of the facts and let you assume the rest. I want to give you enough to satisfy you, when in reality, I have given you only enough so that you will come to the wrong conclusion. I know that you have drawn the wrong conclusion by the nature of your questions and the content of your remarks, but I do nothing to correct you, and my deceit through evasion has been a success. The story of the city slicker and the dog is a great example of this method in action. Yes, tell us, because what the hell? Because I've never heard of no damn city slicker and a dog. I've heard about the Lady and the Tramp. That's about it. Hold on, let me tune this ice real quick. Okay. A traveler has been driving through the country on a trip and stops for lunch in a small town. Taking a walk in the courthouse square, he sees an old farmer sitting on a park bench reading a newspaper. Sitting beside him is an interesting looking dog, okay? The traveler walks over, sits down next to the farmer, and tries to strike up a friendly conversation. The farmer, wary of strangers, does little more than a grunt short answers to the traveler's questions. My, that is a very interesting looking dog, says the city slicker. I had a dog just like that when I was a kid. The old farmer just nods in silent response. He looks like a pretty good dog to me, says the city slicker. The farmer slightly nods. Does your dog bite? Asks the city slicker. Nope, answers the old farmer. Do you mind if I pet the dog? Asks the city slicker. Nope, answers the farmer. Then the traveler reaches out his hand to pet the animal. The dog snarls and snaps at the stranger, taking a big bite out of the poor man's hand. Zium. In pain and shock, he yells at the old farmer, I thought you said your dog doesn't bite. My dog don't bite, responds the farmer. Well then look at what your dog just did to my hand, shouts the wounded man. That ain't my dog, responds the grinning farmer. Oh shit. Okay. Not some random dog sitting by you. Although evasion seems more of a not doing than doing process, the indirect deception technique of evasion does place some demands on the liar. First, the deceiver must know the truth in order to be able to censor certain parts of that information from their remarks or conversation. Second, it is critical that the evader knows just how much information to give to the person whom they hope to mislead. There is a very delicate balance between too much information and not enough to allow for misinterpretation. If the deceiver says just a little too much, the truth may come out. If they don't say enough, it will be obvious that they're holding back on providing all the information. Some of these words says he, and I'm trying to make this inclusive for all, so I say they. So I might stumble a little bit. The evader must pay attention to the listener's responses and gauge the success of their efforts to deceive. This method of deception requires a liar who is skilled in the art of communication because they must know exactly what to say and when. More important, they must know when to keep their mouth shut. Dealing with evasion. Detecting lies of evasion or omission is not easy for the listener who is the intended victim. Direct deception is much easier to spot because there is some material to work with. The other person's lies or made-up version of the truth, as well as the symptoms of stress and deception they may exhibit as they try to make all the pieces of the story work together. When dealing with indirect deception, however, you have to be able to spot the deceit by using logic instead of observation. You have to recognize that the transition of events described from one point of the conversation to the next has some missing elements. It helps if you already know some of the facts, because you may realize that the other person's answers aren't giving you the whole story. Additionally, during this type of conversation, you cannot assume anything, because the liar wants you to do just that. Make an incorrect assumption. Instead, you will have to question tediously the person about every element that you feel is vague or incomplete, and pull the information out of them one piece at a time, only believing what you know to be true. Now, depending on the person you are talking to, you may want to ask direct questions, or you may want to ask questions in a more roundabout manner. You may want to state the assumption you think that they want you to make, and then see if that is correct. When faced with such a direct question, the evader will either have to lie outright or have to be more forthcoming. If they begin to lie outright, you will then be able to apply the skills you will learn in this book to uncover the lie. Motivations for deceit and evasion. When a person chooses to be deceitful or evasive, they are doing so for one of two main reasons. First, they may wish to mislead you regarding some event that has occurred in the past and thereby keep you from learning the truth. Second, they may wish to accomplish a hidden agenda going forward. Here we go, that agenda word, girl. When I lie to you about something that has happened in the past, I do so primarily to avoid some form of punishment. Your disappointment in me may be punishment enough. This is often the case with young people who don't want their parents to find out about youthful indiscretions. Or I may fear that you finding out about my actions could destroy the image you have of me and who I am. That image may be one that I have worked hard to develop. This can happen amongst friends when there might be a concern that the future relationship will suffer, or in a business situation when you might decline to hire me if you know about something that happened in the past. If the acts I have committed and tried to hide are of serious enough nature, I may fear for my job, my marriage, my public title, or even my freedom should you discover what I have done. For example, a businessman who has lost investors' money through imprudence, or a high-profile public figure who has had an inappropriate sexual encounter with one of their staff may very well compound their errors by virtue of a cover-up. On the other hand, I may plan to deceive you not about something I have done in the past, but about something I'm presently doing or hope to do. In this case, I have some clear objective, and if you were aware of it, you might interfere with my plans. My deceit is an effort at creating an illusion. I wish you to believe in what you think you see and what you expect to have happen. Now, for example, a teenager might want to go to a party that all of their friends, are attending, but they know their parents would disapprove. In order to get out of the house, they may tell their parents that they're going over to a friend's house, or perhaps out to a movie, to prevent them from calling there to locate them. When their parents tell them that there is not going to... What? Hold on. I'm trying to remove these his's and he's and put they. When their parents tell them that there is not going anywhere else, they swear to them that they are not going to the party. They may act insulted and complain that they just don't trust them. Take another example in which a person is selling a car because the transmission has been acting up and they don't want to pay for any more repairs. As you are looking over the car, you may ask about its mechanical condition, the gas mileage, if the car uses oil, or if it has ever been in an accident. The seller may choose not to tell you about the transmission problems because you didn't ask directly, and they don't want to discourage you from pursuing the car's purchase. Deception and evasion each serves its own purpose. And to be realistic, most people have engaged in each type at some point or another. We also have been victims of the same. We may encounter deception or evasion from a family member or close friend, from a coworker or a relative stranger. Now, how we deal with it and how we detect it will be different depending on how close to us the person is. Defining stress. Our lives are composed of a series of goals and objectives, right? We strive to accomplish these goals and objectives on both a daily and a long-term basis. The nature of each of these goals represents what is truly important to us and tells others a lot about who we are. They are what motivates us to behave the way we do. Some of the objectives are complex and serves as outlines for such fundamental decisions as how we want to represent ourselves to others, or to which spiritual and religious principles we will adhere. Other goals are simple and are limited to bowling a perfect game or breaking par on a tough hole at the local golf course. The important thing to keep in mind is not so much the level of complexity of the goal or objective, but more of how highly we value its achievement and how vigorously we pursue its successful fulfillment. Any real or perceived threats to our ability either to pursue or to accomplish these goals and objectives can create emotional and intellectual discord within us. That tension is commonly referred to as stress. We experience stress on 3 levels: physical, emotional, and mental. Physical symptoms can include perspiration, stomach cramps, dilated pupils, rapid and shallow breath, or slow and deep inhalations. Our faces may flush and our muscles might become taut, as we prepare for fight or flight. Our hands may begin to tremble, our balance may become unsteady, and our face may blanch. Emotionally, we may experience fear or anger. At the same time, we experience significant mental changes, which can include confusion, rapid or disjointed thoughts, intense concentration, forgetfulness, or even hallucinations. Unresolved stress can cause many types of physical and psychological problems. You may have read something about the damaging effects stress can have on the body. It can cause extreme weight loss, hair loss, high blood pressure, headaches, backaches, muscle aches, muscle twitches, ringing in the ears, heart attacks, strokes, intestinal disorders, rashes, joint pain, chronic sickness, or chronic fatigue syndrome. We could also suffer from emotional disorders such as depression, personality disorders, long-term or short-term memory problems, paranoia, and anger management problems. We may even become psychotic or mentally disturbed. All of these problems are caused by either major chemical changes in the body or by emotional confusion and distress, both of which result from excessive and prolonged stress. The interesting thing about stress is its true source. Throughout our lives, we receive, in a continual series, rewards and punishments. Through personal experiences over time, we learn which of our behaviors will earn rewards and which ones will create the negative feedback associated with punishment. We adjust our lives on the basis of our perceptions of how to maximize rewards and minimize punishments. In some cases, however, We may not know exactly what the result of our choices will be. We make a decision assuming it will have a positive outcome, but instead it may turn out badly. When this happens, we must choose between the options of fight or flight, At the same time, we must attend to the stress we are experiencing because our plans didn't work out as expected. We all experience some form of stress in our daily lives. Perhaps we are having trouble getting the lawnmower started on the first try when we want to cut the grass before the rain begins. I know about that. Maybe a do-it-yourself home repair project is not going very well. I mean, it looked simple when that couple did it on the television home improvement show. Why won't it work for me? You could find that you have a flat tire on the way to pick up your child from daycare. Maybe you're having company over for dinner, but you still have to do some last-minute cleaning, get one more dish prepared, and need to take a shower and get dressed before the guests arrive. Or there are the flashing red and blue lights of a police car right behind you as you are speeding in an effort to get to work on time. For the most part, these types of events create what is called general stress. What is the actual cause of this stress? Are there external forces? Does it spring from an internal source? Is it the workload at your job that causes stress? How about that one supervisor who seems to be overly critical of your performance? Are they the root of your stress? Are you stressed by the fact that your son is in college and you are spending a fortune on tuition, but you don't think he is as dedicated to his studies as you think he should be? Do the time constraints and complicated tax form that you struggle with each year give you stress? The answer is no. That's right. None of these situations cause stress, right? What really is creating your stress are your thoughts about each of these problems. The Greek philosopher Epictetus, that person, said, "Men are not troubled by things themselves, but by their thoughts about them." When we dwell on a problem with too much intensity or for too long, our thoughts about the frustrations associated with that issue are responsible for our feelings of being overwhelmed. The stress phenomenon that we are going to use for this diagnosis of a person's deceptive behaviors come from the general category of stress reactions. It is important to bear in mind, however, that this does not mean that anyone who is experiencing some form of stress is lying, okay? All deception signals, either verbal or nonverbal, are a form of stress, but not all stress signs indicate lying. Were you ever extremely nervous during a job interview or when reciting a poem in front of the class in high school? I mean, you weren't lying. You were anxious about getting the job or intimidated by standing in front of the class. The stress that occurs when you are being deceptive has some additional elements to it. You still exhibit all of the other typical stress symptoms, such as sweating, absent-mindedly wringing your hands, okay, crossing your arms, or talking in a high-pitched voice. The difference occurs in the origin of the stress and the subsequent symptoms. We may generate our deception cues because we have strong personal feelings about the issue, and we do not want the other person to discover our true feelings. Or the reverse may be true in that we want the observer to think we are experiencing a particular emotion that we, in fact, do not genuinely feel. To complete our deception, we must give a good enough performance so that the other person doesn't realize an emotional incongruity exists. Concern over whether the other person's beliefs are deceptive performance is the cause of our stress. The stress associated with deception is generated by the conflict between the truth and our own portrayal of reality. Knowing the truth about a matter and presenting it in an altered form by changing some or all of the facts creates a problem, right? The lying person has to be actively involved in editing and censoring their remarks, and the failure to do so exposes them to a great deal of risk. The stress they experience is the result of heightened mental activity as they monitor their speech, amid increased concern that the observer will be able to decipher the truth. All forms of stress come back to the main issue of rewards and punishment. Okay, all forms of stress come back to the main issue of rewards and punishments. If I fail at my deceit, what is the punishment for engaging in fabrication? What would be the cost I'd have to pay for failing? How significantly will I be set back in my efforts to achieve my ultimate goals or objectives? Could I be denied completely that goal forever? Or could I recover? Is that goal so important that I will risk everything to attain it? Am I willing to throw caution to the wind, pull out all the stops, and make the ultimate sacrifices at all cost to achieve that goal? Such is the dilemma of engaging in deception. Most of the time, you will be recognizing signs of stress that may or may not signal deception. It will be useful to you, okay, to observe to yourself, aha, this person is experiencing stress in this conversation. You can then begin to communicate with that person about what his agenda is. If you can uncover their goals, you will be in a position to understand their motivations and communicate with them in a constructive way. Relationships, okay? We can classify the people with whom we deal in our daily lives into 4 general categories: intimate, personal, social, and public. Each of these groups has a different meaning to us, and we maintain different types of relationships with each, right? People in our lives may also move from one category to another as well. Intimate. The intimate group consists of those people with whom we maintain a very close relationship. They are most likely to know the most about our personal goals and dreams, as well as our successes and failures. They are equally likely to have shared with us the depths of emotional pain and the greatest joys. In fact, most of the time, they are active participants in those events. This group of people includes parents, spouses, children, siblings, extended families, lovers, spiritual counselors, and in some cases, especially close friends or those who closely fill one of those roles. Dishonesty among the members of the intimate group can create a great deal of emotional pain. The deceiver has betrayed those who have placed trust and confidence in them. Should a member of the group fail to meet the group's expectations, there would be disappointment in the failure, but ultimately, that person probably would be forgiven. Blatant dishonesty, however, creates a wound that will be difficult to heal. The unwritten rule between the members of the intimate group is that there is ultimate trust between the members. We all are honest with each other and will faithfully defend and support each other. Each person has willingly exposed their innermost self to the others at great risk, but with the understanding that they will be accepted unconditionally, warts and all, okay? To deceive someone in my intimate circle for selfish reasons or while knowing that the person will be personally harmed by my deceit, creates a huge rift between the liar and the deceived. We risk the greatest of all punishments for such a transgression: the loss of love. And it can be more difficult to disguise deception because these are the people who know each other's best and are most likely to read the true meanings of behaviors and see through lies. Working in the deceiver's favor, however, can be the unwillingness that intimates may have to believe something bad about one of the other. And one of their own, one of the other. Even when the lies are badly executed, the deceiver may get away with them in a dysfunctional situation. Personal. The group of people that compose my personal circle would include my close friends, a small group of people with whom I regularly associate on a casual basis. It might be a few people at work, college buddies, or members of a sports team. It might be the group with whom I go to parties, or the couple that my spouse and I spend time with on a regular basis. This group has a different set of rules than those of the intimate group. When deception occurs between the members of this group, a great deal depends on the type of deception. Perhaps I'm always telling the war stories that seem to grow a little more unbelievable each time. These are little lies that may be generally allowed as part of the group behavior. But if, however, I betray a trust with a member of the group, I could lose that person as a friend. I could also sacrifice the friendship and closeness of the relationship if my deceit is for personal gain at their expense. If I'm caught deceiving a member of the personal group, I may have that person angry at me for a long time, and in the future, they may be careful about their dealings with me. If my deception of that person is significant enough, the entire group may shun me for what I have done. As a result, I may find it very difficult, ever to be allowed to be close to members of that group. Deceit within the personal group can cause a fair amount of emotional pain, but unlike the intimate group, relationships in this group may not be considered to be lifelong relationships anyway. Over long periods of time, friends come and go as people grow and change. Being out of touch with a former friend is unlikely to be as painful as estrangement from a sibling, parent, or spouse. Social. The social group is comprised of those individuals with whom I associate on a temporary basis. Often we do not have much at stake in our relationship except for very limited situations. This may be the members of the congregation at my church. I recognize them and they know who I am. These are people I recognize at the grocery store, the people who work at the gas station where I always stop, or the other parents whose kids are on the same t-ball team as my daughter. We enjoy the games together and can have polite conversations at the awards picnic. This group also includes very temporary relationships, such as those developed when negotiating with a merchant, a person providing me a service, or a salesperson of some kind. We can develop a temporary relationship based on the understanding that each of us can provide something that the other person needs, wants, or has. Should I find that the other person is deceiving me, I have no reservations about ending the relationship or even telling the person to his face that I believe that they have lied. But at the same time, I might have fewer qualms about lying to them. I might think the worst sanction I could suffer, assuming that what I have done is not illegal, would be to have found someone else to provide me what I wanted. However, the person whom I have victimized with my deceit may try to publicly humiliate or berate me for what I have done. With the members of this group, there is no guarantee that each will be honest with each other. In some cases, it may be expected that some form of deceit will be present, and it is the duty of each person to protect themselves and take all the appropriate precautions. In general, you will find it a greater challenge to spot deception by a person in this group. Yet, at the same time, because of the temporary nature of this contact, this is when you might need to be the most diligent. Placing too much trust in people in this group could have costly consequences. In other words, you wouldn't want to entrust your money to the guy who sits with you in the bleachers at the kids' t-ball game without doing at least the due diligence you would with a stranger, okay? And lastly, public. The final group includes the rest of the world, which we call the public group. This would include politicians, world leaders, sports figures, media or entertainment figures, or other very high-profile people whose actions we are observing at a distance. The members of this group have a large public platform that they can use to perpetuate their deception. This goes back to the old political saying that you can fool some of the people a lot of the time, but a lot of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all of the people all of the time, okay? Efforts at deception in this arena are designed to protect the person's public image and ultimately the ability to control a lot of people. Therefore, the goal of the deception is primarily selfish. Should a person in the public classification, be caught in a deception, they may be charismatic enough to overcome the damage or engage in more deception to diminish the apparent damages from the initial lie. The exposed deceiver also could be confident that in a very short time their transgression will be forgotten by the public as another scandal or crisis takes the headlines. Wow. After a few years, they may be nearly forgiven for mistakes if, in fact, they are all vividly remembered for what they really were: an abuse of the public trust, okay? Members of our public group are most likely individuals with whom we have not had nor ever will have direct contact. In this day and age, we may not even experience outrage for having our trust so callously ignored by those public individuals, right? We reason that they are so far removed from us that their actions have little or no impact on our personal lives. In reality, we should be very concerned about such transgressions. These individuals have gained their positions of trust and high public status because we have given it to them. Should they betray that trust and abuse the power, and we do not hold them responsible for such transgressions, by our silence, we have approved of what they have done. These individuals, represent us and are a representation of who we are and what should be considered to be important attributes in leaders. To not speak out against such deceptive behaviors is to say we approve of their duplicity. Why then should we expect anything different from those people in our intimate, personal, and social groups, and ultimately ourselves? When a situation arises in which a public figure may be deceiving the population, the populace, you will be faced with deciding for yourself whether you believe the person or not, based on what you see and hear in the public record. To the extent that you can, you'll be able to apply the skills you learn from this book to draw your own independent conclusions about the person's veracity. Okay? Misconceptions. Of all of the possible reasons that the general population does poorly at spotting deception, one of the contributing factors is that we look for clues to deceit in the wrong places, or based on folk wisdom or folklore, we think that deception can be revealed in certain behaviors. Many of these misconceptions seem to develop a life of their own, and it is easy to find people who believe, without a doubt, that these symptoms are totally reliable in their accuracy. Some of the problems associated with a failure at successfully identifying a deception have to do with our attitude about our ability. There are plenty of people who put blind faith in the ability always to be able to spot deception, or always to spot deception in a specific person, Oh, I can always tell when someone's lying. I know one person who says that body language tells them all they need to know and they don't really need to pay attention to any other signals, right? Over the years of teaching and doing research of the training materials in the criminal justice field, I have been amazed at some of the things, the things I have seen taught as signs of deception. I've also been amused at what some criminal justice students and police officers have told me that they were taught. Some of the symptoms identified with old folk wisdom that I have heard many times, while other supposed signs of deception were truly very peculiar and made no sense at all. These types of misinformation are confusing and contribute to the dismal job we all do at spotting deceit. Most of the misconceptions about how to spot deception deals with watching a person's face and eyes and listening for verbal cues. For example, there are those who believe that a truthful person can always look you in the eye, while someone who is lying cannot. Another interesting misconception, which has even invaded the academies of law enforcement, is that you can determine if a person is lying by watching whether he breaks eye contact to the right or to the left. Unfortunately, there is no scientific evidence to support this idea. In fact, attempts to study this phenomenon has failed to support this belief. There are no reliable signs of deception based solely on the amount of eye contact a person maintains. Now, of course, this is a difficult misconception to shake, given all the old detective movies where suspects had shifty eyes. In addition to the eyes, many people traditionally watch another person's face in hopes of spotting deception. In many cases, they don't even know what they are looking for. Some unknown symptom or telltale clue from the face that will alert them when a person has been deceptive. However, of all the areas of the body, the head and face generate the fewest symptoms. The main reason is that the speaker is consciously or even subconsciously aware of this type of scrutiny and will generally do a good job at suppressing signs of deception from the face. There are also those who believe that the crossing of arms or legs during a conversation is an undeniable sign of deception. A person who exhibits a fair amount of fidgeting with their hands or who squirms in their chair may be unjustly identified as a liar. Another common misconception has been that someone who says or many times in speech is lying. In the upcoming sections, which we're going to read in part 2 because we're about to be done with this part, part 1. In the upcoming sections dealing with each of the areas of verbal and nonverbal behaviors, we will discuss which symptoms are reliable signs of deception and those that are merely indicators of general stress. it has been my experience, okay, that the unreliable techniques for spotting deception have been primarily gimmicks. Someone may have spotted the behavior once or twice, and it happened to coincident accidentally with, a moment during which a person was being deceptive. I hope to eliminate many of those misconceptions by the time you finish reading this book, giving you the full picture of how to reliably spot deception. Your accuracy rate should improve, and with it, your communication skills. And ladies and gentlemen and everybody in between, that is part 1 or chapter 1 of The Truth About Lying, entitled What's Behind the Lie. So I'm glad that they started chapter 1 off like this. Okay? This person, Stan B. Walters, in my opinion, my interpretation of it, is he's laying a general, objective, foundational understanding of what deception is and what motivates deception. Okay, and the way that they explained it was beautiful in reference to the whole rewards and punishment system. We live in a world now where we want to be rewarded so much, but we're afraid of punishment, or we're fearful of failure. And then we start going in our heads about the hypotheticals about what could happen. And we've all done this. This is a part of the human experience. But I think with this book is going to help us, the goal of the book, to help us to spot lies, but also not spot lies to continue the punishment aspect. I mean, in some cases, yeah, consequences going to be what it's going to be. It is what it is. But to grow from those consequences, right? Or to be able to open up or see that as an opportunity to establish a new foundation of honesty to where a person doesn't have to lie to you. Okay, so this book is going to be reading all of us, including the person who's reading it. And again, if you're looking for a perfect read through, trust me, I'm pretty sure there are other content creators out there that have read this book and they've hit all of the vernacular right, baby. All the enunciation was right, girl. But this is Bub's flow. This is a Bub's read through, okay? And I'm going to give you what I'm going to give. And it's going to resonate for those that it resonates with, okay? Ron says self-deluding or lying to yourself can withdraw your... Yeah. Oh, you just came... You came on the tail end and my ladder upstairs. Yes, I'm smoking on something called fire diesel. Okay? What's going on? And apparently, one of my bros, we supposed to be smoking this week, and he got a little surprise for me. He got a little weed for me. So I'm like, okay, see how the universe works, baby? I do what I do, and the universe provides. But Extra Smoke Dragon, I would suggest that you check the replay on this video, okay? Because I feel like this book is going to be absolutely amazing. And all the books that I've been reading, and again, thank y'all for the individuals who helped to choose this book. But the books that I've been reading, they've, for me, have had this one underlying theme, the way I view, which is love. Is helping you to become better. It's helping you to grow. And anything that's helping you to grow is out of the frequency and vibration of love. So it's just interesting to me. Because again, when I put this book up, I know a lot of people were like, oh yes, I'm about to learn how to spot a lie. I'm about to catch my nigga. I'm about to catch my friend. I'm about to... And you can do that because that's still your life. You know, do what you want to do. Take what is yours and leave the rest alone. But again, this book about the truth about lying, I believe, and we're still gonna read it, but the goal, and I believe, and I do support the goal, is that it will create an opportunity for people to start telling the truth. Okay? So that you don't have to be like my girl on the screen here, girl just yelling and screaming, why? This is my favorite part in the beginning part. Not today, asshole. Not today. Okay? But anyway, thank y'all for coming through. I'm excited for this read through. This is part 1. All right, and I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your Sunday, okay? Please make sure you hit that like button, okay? That's the most important thing you can do for this channel, because liking my content helps it to grow in the algorithms. Okay, we are a small platform, baby, but we small right now. Okay, there are other people, okay, who are going to rock with the fantastic voyage known as BubzDaGawd, girl. We need to get them in here. So you liking the video, excuse me, is definitely doing your part. Again, if you've come across my video and you like what you hear and what you see, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell, okay? And make sure you hit all with the notification bell, because I've heard that YouTube only alerts anywhere from like 10 to 15% of subscribers. So just make sure you hit that notification bell, and hopefully you will get your notification. If not, you can be replay gang. You also welcome to share as well. If you want to help spread the Bubs of Flow energy out, please make sure you do that. And if you feel compelled, only if you feel compelled, okay, you can hit me up in my CashApp, in my Zelle, in my PayPal, which is BubzDaGawd, okay? So we can put dough knobs on the dough for real, okay? Shout out to y'all. I appreciate y'all, all right? Shout out to Queen Spicy in the building, who's always rocking with me. Shout out to Extra Smoke Dragon. I wish I had my lighter, but I'm gonna hit my shit after this live, okay? Again, shout out to Ron. Ron says, just returned from my vacation to Denver, Colorado. Oh, I see the little shroom thing. Oh, snap, Ron. I hope it went good. Okay, shout out to King Anubis who came through. All right, shout out to Let's Talk Wild who came through. Shout out to Style by Stevie who came through. Shout out to Miss English who came through. Shout out to y'all. I appreciate y'all rocking with my girl eccentric leprechaun ass. I really appreciate it. That's why you gotta love yourself, baby, because in the words of Miss Pearly, even though she had that thick ass mustache growing in the front, girl, that little goatee, she spoke a little facts, girl. She said, shut up, bitch, I know somebody like it, and I just want the people that like it. Everybody ain't gotta like it. I just want the ones who do, and I'm glad I'm attracting the ones who do. Okay, but anyway, thank y'all so much for watching, okay? And until next time, y'all, peace.